go to line 55 and start right there.
Okay. Additionally, AEG took actions pertaining to the physical well-being of Michael Jackson. AEG made verbal demands directly to Jackson about how he should be behaving in dealing with his medical condition, under the threat that they would cancel the tour, take away his support, and recoup the cost from him. By undertaking these and other actions, AEG created and thereby assumed a legal duty to act responsibly, or reasonably.
Okay, so Brian, what do you think about that?
What happened is that on June 18th of 2009, there was a meeting at Michael Jackson's home. I call this the Riot Act meeting.
Now what?
Catherine Jackson's lawsuit, she has copied the very same labels and language which I filed on behalf of Mr. Jackson some 4 months ago. And what happened at that meeting is that Michael Jackson was told by the concert promoters that unless he stopped seeing Dr. Arnold Klein and started taking exclusive treatments from Conrad Murray, the show would be terminated. The phrase which was used is that they were going to pull the plug. They told Michael Jackson that everything in his house belonged to the concert promoters. They told Michael Jackson that unless he did exactly as the concert promoters demanded, that the show would be terminated. Michael was extremely upset, horribly upset. As a result of that meeting, we have the filming of Michael Jackson on the 23rd and 24th of June. Now, what is so upsetting about the filming and the making of this $260 million is that this was done at the threat of cancellation of the concert series unless Michael Jackson kept quiet and made no complaint.
Okay, excuse me, Brian.
It was under the threat of what happened here.
Okay, Brian, excuse me. I just want to make sure that everybody heard you correctly. Michael Jackson was threatened. Now, could you say that all one more time, please?
He was told that there would be a cancellation of the concert series unless he accepted the terms and conditions of receiving treatments from Conrad Murray.
Wow. Okay, I just want to share something here, Brian. We're on page 5. We're on page 5 of the lawsuit. We're going to start at line 22. Just listen to this and tell me what you think.
Okay. The success of the tour depended on the efforts of both AEG and Jackson, and both promised to attempt to try to maximize revenues generated by the tour. In essence, AEG put up the funds and production experience, and Jackson provided the talent and the fame to make the venture a success.
Could you go into the next one?
By virtue of the AEG-Jackson agreement, AEG came to control much of Jackson's life. The home Jackson lived in was provided by AEG. His finances were dependent on AEG, and his assets stood security if he failed to perform.
Okay, Brian, you just said that in so many words, didn't you?
That's essentially correct, Eddie. The details are in the fact that he was told on June 18th that unless he complied with each of the demands which were being put upon him by the promoters and the people involved in the concert series, that the show would be terminated. And that's what you read is a summary of the meaning of that demand and request that was made to him.
Okay, now, Brian, I'm going to go to the final page of the lawsuit, which is page 17. We're going to go to page 17, line 103. I'm sorry, could you start at line 102? Okay, you ready?
Got it, Eddie.
Okay, go ahead.
Murray was a licensed physician who owed a duty of care to his patient Michael Jackson. Murray was reckless and negligent in undertaking his diagnosis, evaluation, and treatment of Michael Jackson in May and June of 2009. For example, Murray used propofol as an agent to treat Michael Jackson's insomnia on an outpatient basis without proper resuscitation equipment or personnel, did not properly administer the drug, as well as numerous other drugs to Jackson, did not properly supervise Jackson, and did not properly act upon discovering Jackson had stopped breathing on June 25th, 2009. Indeed, by some accounts, Murray waited over an hour and a half to call 911 after discovering Jackson had stopped breathing. Additionally, upon arriving at UCLA emergency room, Murray did not give the attending physician an appropriate patient history.
Okay, so that's the last page of the lawsuit. Could you please elaborate on how you feel about the last page of the lawsuit there?
This is exactly what we complained about to the California Medical Board back in June 8th of 2010. And what the complaint was there is that AEG promised to provide cardiopulmonary resuscitation equipment and a full-time nurse in order to monitor Conrad Murray's treatment to resuscitate Michael Jackson. And it's literally a smoking gun, Eddie. There is not a concert tour in the world, not one, that has cardiopulmonary resuscitation equipment waiting in the wings to revive a dead performer. And the reason is that any concert promoter who thinks that an artist is going to collapse on stage and continues to put the artist on stage is acting recklessly. And that's precisely what was going on here. It is in writing. This is not some made-up, fictitious allegation. It is right there. And what you have is you have the emails from AEG which promised this. They promised Conrad Murray, and they never fulfilled their promise. Now, one of the problems was that Conrad Murray continued to treat Michael Jackson despite the absence of these things. So when you assess blame, I look at this and say, Conrad Murray is at least 50% responsible for Michael Jackson's death. But the other 50% is the people who promised this equipment, who promised this personnel, and failed to provide it.
You know, I was walking down the street the other day, and a person just walked up to me and gave me 2 documents. And I didn't read it. You know, like people give you literature on the street when you're walking, you don't read it right away. You just kind of fold it up and keep on walking. You know what I mean? So I stopped and I looked at it, and I just want to read to you what it says here. And it says, now I've been told to be careful how I use this word, so I'm not going to say it, but it's an organization. It says this organization killed Michael and Tupac and Biggie and John Kennedy and his son and etc., and anyone else who threatens to expose them. It says Google who killed Michael Jackson and his plan to tell the world about it on his concert tour. They couldn't let that happen, so they hired Dr. Conrad Murray, who was heavily in debt. You know the rest. Listen to Michael's last song he sang before they killed him. Before they killed him, the song is They Don't Care About Us. Do your research. Other artists out there, and these are big artists, they say that Jay-Z knows who did it, Kanye West knows who did it, Jamie Foxx and everybody else, and others knows who did it. What do you think about that, this paper that I got from somebody walking down the street?
I have heard the allegations of conspiracy that there are these people who were sitting in the back room planning to kill Michael Jackson, that they wanted him dead, that he was worth more dead than he was alive. I've heard all of these things. And to this I say the following, Eddie. When you look at the evidence, it leads a lot of people to reach this conclusion, but I'm not ready to reach that conclusion. The evidence all by itself is damning as to the gross negligence, the recklessness with which these people around Michael Jackson acted. As to some broader, greater conspiracy, I haven't seen the conclusive evidence of any of that yet. But just the ordinary person listening to this comes to that conclusion. When I talk to LaCraspaksout on the phone, and I tell her these facts, and I'm remembering back weeks and weeks when I first discovered it, and I would tell her, there would be first this silence on the phone, and then there would be a sobbing, and she would cry, and then she would say to me, Brian, they killed him. And I would say to her, LaToya, this is not conclusive evidence. She says, I believe it. I go, I understand, but we go by the evidence, and what the evidence is showing is absolute gross recklessness on these people's part. So to the conspiracies, I say I don't have conclusive evidence at this point.
Well, I couldn't agree with you more. I just wanted to share that because, you know, I just thought it was very odd. Here I am talking about it on my show every day, for every show for the last, what, year? A year now?
Yes,
And-
it's been over a year.
And I have-
It's amazing that in that year, we still don't know all the details of Michael Jackson's death.
We don't know what the LAPD. We don't have a report from the LAPD yet. We don't have a report from the investigators yet that's been really made to the public. I mean, of course, we saw the ambulance statement. That I have a copy of that, and then I have a copy of some other stuff, but we haven't gotten to the real meat of this whole thing yet.
That is right. It has been more than a year and a quarter, and yet the evidence as to what happened, who came and went on the day of Michael Jackson's death, the day before his death, what was it that was done in the minutes and hours before the 911 phone call was made. You read from the lawsuit that it might have been up to an hour. Eddie, it was up to an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Conrad Murray's first report to the police that he gave Michael Jackson propofol at 10:40 a.m. in the morning, that he watched Michael Jackson for 10 minutes and then went to the bathroom for 2 minutes, and back at 10:52 a.m. in the morning. The police asked him what happened then. He said, I noticed that Michael Jackson was not breathing. Over and over and over in the police interview, Conrad Murray said that Michael Jackson stopped breathing around 11 a.m. The phone call to 911 did not come until 12:22 p.m. That's an hour and a half later. Then we get reports, oh, the timeline was skewed. We made a mistake. We didn't understand. But the autopsy report shows that there is propofol in Michael Jackson's vitreous humor, which is the fluid of the eye.
Wow.
It takes anywhere from an hour to an hour and a half for that drug to infiltrate itself into the vitreous humor of the eye.
Wow.
In other words, Conrad Murray's initial report appears to be accurate. There was an hour and a half delay.
Well, let me say, Brian, we were talking about LaToya a while ago. When you and I gave our speech up there in Las Vegas at the fan convention,
Yes.
LaToya, LaToya was on the phone. Majestic got her on the phone, and she talked to everybody. And she said at the show that she wanted to talk with me, and at the speech. And so I was wondering maybe if you could maybe get her on the phone next week, in a three-way with you, and maybe we can get LaToya on so she could. She said she wanted to share with the fans and work with the fans and work with the people that are working with the fans. And of course, I am working with the fans. Do you think you can make that possibly happen?
We'll ask her, Eddie. She is always very hesitant to expose herself to criticisms and to folks who disagree with her. She's just very careful, but we'll make the request and we'll see what she's got to say.
Well, I'll tell you this right now. I'm not going to allow anyone to criticize Miss LaToya Jackson. She's just a very outspoken woman who has told the truth from the beginning. She said, my brother was murdered.
The truth, Eddie. She tells the truth as she sees it. And the very interesting thing is, as an attorney, I'm very careful as to the conclusions that I draw. And my conclusions are not always those of the ordinary, rational human being, because I've been battered around by courts until it really makes your head spin. She listens to this evidence and comes to the kind of conclusion that you're talking about.
It would be good. It would be good just to maybe get LaToya and Randy on the phone, because I'm sure that Randy too has something that he would love to say as well about how he feels about what happened to his brother. As well,
It is very true. Randy has been one who has stood up for his brother, made it known that he thinks that there is so much more involved in this, and he has been a chief critic of what's happening with regard to the secrecy and the lack of information. He calls me up and says, what happened? And I give him the latest, and he goes, when are we going to learn the truth about what happened to my brother?
wow.
I tell him, Randy, we're doing our best. He says, this is not good.